Spring training is where careers either begin or quietly end. And if you are a non-roster invitee, you're not chasing a dream. You're chasing a deadline. Let's get into it today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the country. I am your host, Booney, lifelong A's fan who has spent decades living every collapse, every rebuild, and every championship this franchise has put us through. I watch the games, track the prospects, and follow the business side closer than most people follow their own team. Every day, you will get real roster breakdowns, long-term context, and unfiltered takes from someone who actually understands this organization because I've grown up with it. Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your A's, every single day. And today on Locked On A's, we are talking about spring training. Spring training isn't a celebration. It's a survival test. And right now, 31 non-roster invitees are walking into camp knowing the math is cruel and the clock is loud. No contracts, no safety nets, just early mornings, cold cages, and the quiet understanding that every swing, every pitch, every misstep is being measured against a stopwatch and a spreadsheet. This is where careers are born in silence and buried without headlines. The A's aren't handing out feel-good stories. They are hunting for value, edge, and hunger. And somewhere between the bus rides and bullpen sessions, someone is about to force their way onto the 26-man roster by doing the one thing that actually matters in this game: taking a job. Guys, spring training is the hardest tryout in all of baseball, maybe in all of sports, period. Last year, the A's had approximately 20 to 25 non-roster invitees. One person made the opening day roster out of that list. That was Max Muncy. Now, before I go forward, I want you to understand how Major League Baseball rosters work, okay? You have 3 rosters in Major League Baseball. You have your 26-man roster, which is your opening day roster, the individuals that are playing in big league games. You have your 40-man roster. And then you have your 60-man roster, or your non-invitees to spring training that we're going to talk about today. Now, in order for someone to get on the 26-man roster, they must go on the 40-man roster. In order for someone to be on the 26-man roster, they must first be on the 40-man roster. How do you get on the 40-man roster? It's not that simple. This is what makes this difficult. Okay, in order to get on the 40-man roster, you can't just flip-flop somebody. For example, let's say a Colby Thomas, for example, is on the 40-man roster, and I don't know. Let's say why am I struggling with this? Let's say a non-invitee like a Henry Bolte is on the non-invitee. In order for Henry Bolte to get on the 40-man roster, someone needs to be DFA'd, released, or placed on the 60-man IL. In other words, you can't just say, hey, Colby Thomas, you're going to Vegas, and Henry Bolte, you're now on the 40-man roster. It doesn't work like that. You would have to release Colby Thomas, DFA Colby Thomas, or Colby Thomas would have to be put on the 60-man roster. And again, I'm just using Colby Thomas as an example to make my point. And that's how Henry Bolte would potentially get on the 26-man roster. He would replace Colby Thomas' spot on the 40-man. And if there's room for him in the outfield, he would get on the 26-man roster. For example, last year, Max Muncy was a non-roster invitee. Brady Basso was on the 40-man roster to start spring training. Brady Basso went on the 60-day IL. Max Muncy, which opened up a spot. Max Muncy then filled that spot and made the opening day roster. And that's similar for many of the positions as well. Today, what we're going to go through is the 31 roster invitees. Does any of them have a shot to make the opening day roster? I'm going to break it down into several categories. Not several, but catcher, infield, outfield, starting pitching, and relief pitching. And I ranked all of the 31 roster. I ranked each of the non-invitees on the spring training list to see who has the best possibility of making the opening day roster. What is up, everybody? Daily Blunt, spring training equals Oregon Trail. My Giants, your Giants don't have a daily podcast, so you can add that to their massive structural disaster they call an organization. No, they do have one. Locked On Giants has a good one hosted by, God, who hosted? Alan Stiles. He does a good job. I'll be furious for the rest of my life that the Giants didn't open the doors of Oracle. Muskie, how are you, sir? So excited to see Tommy White and Leo DeVries, and we're going to cover them. So let's start. Yeah, there is a Locked On Giants. Alan Stiles does a heck of a job for him. Go check it out, guys. Let's start. Now, below what you're going to see, scrolling in the below is my rankings for each of the position. Catcher, outfield, infield, relief pitcher, and starting pitching. Now, this isn't necessarily ranked on who I feel the best player is. It is ranked on the percentage or the chances that these players have to make the opening day roster. For example, Jamie Arnold, I love. I want to see a guy like Jamie Arnold get some reps at Pro Bowl. Meaning, I want to see him pitch in AA. I want to see him pitch in AAA. I want to see pitchers that haven't pitched in the major leagues before be successful in a place like Vegas. Vegas, for me, is the gatekeeper for pitching. Because if you can succeed in Vegas, which is a hitter's type of ballpark, chances are you're going to have success in the big leagues. Or you're going to have an opportunity, not necessarily success. Now, that's one. Age goes into it. How old is the player? Is he potentially going to be a Rule 5 draft? Where do the A's have needs? What are the odds at for each individual? For example, Joshua Crota-Grauer ahead of Leo DeVries. You're saying, what the heck is going on with that, Boney? And if you've watched the show before, you know I believe in going through the steps. Single A, high A, double A, triple A. I believe you have to have success at all four levels, or if you're going to get to the triple A level, have success there before you get brought up. I want to see kids have reps. It's the comparison, the analogy of like, hey, the high school freshman or sophomore that gets called up to varsity just to sit on the bench. That to me makes zero sense. Get the kids reps. And I believe that with individuals that have been drafted as well. And if that means staying at a lower level until you are successful to get to the next level, that's what needs to be done. We're going to have ourselves the tournament style as far as who I feel will be a non-roster invitee or has the best chance possible. I'm going to take two individuals from each position. We're going to put them all together. And after that, we're going to say, hey, who has the best opportunity based on the A's needs? We're going to get to that right after this. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. Between the show, the live chats, the post-game notes, and trying to remember which hot dog I bought at the ballpark, which was business related, my brain is already cooked. The last thing I want to do at midnight is argue with tax forms like they are a bad umpire. That's why TurboTax full service is clutch. I literally handed my mess to a real expert and went back to what I do best: yelling about the A's and breaking down box scores. Instead of spending hours trying to decode forms, you can meet with a TurboTax expert in person or online. They handle everything: W-2s, side gigs, podcast income, random freelance stuff, all of it. And they work to get you every deduction you are owed. All I had to do was upload my documents, go about my day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. No stress. No second guessing. It's a massive time saver and honestly, a relief knowing a professional is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the country. If you have not already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. You will get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On A's, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. An invite to the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of this show, which you could find at #locked-on-a's, all for just $4.99 per month or $50 per year. Go to lockedona's.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Welcome back to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 podcast network in the land. Let's start with catcher. I don't really see anybody from the non-roster invitee list making it on unless there is an injury. Unless we see Shea Langoliers or Austin Wynns go down with something serious, which we don't want to see, obviously. We don't want to see anybody go down with that. Shane McGuire, I got 2021 ninth round pick out of the University of San Diego. Smooth left-handed hitter. We saw late last year the A's signed journeyman catcher Brian Lastavita. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He tore it up. He absolutely tore it up when he was in Vegas last year. 348, 4 bombs, and like 80 at-bats, was on fire. But before the A's picked him up, before Vegas, wasn't that great. I don't see anybody from the non-roster invitee list from the catcher position getting any type of call-up. Let's go to outfield. You got 4 guys, non-roster invitee. Henry Bolte, top 10, top 5 prospect, a true 5-tool guy. 2022 second-round pick out of high school. When you talk about 5-tool guy, you talk about Henry Bolte. Unbelievable speed, great power, had a decent spring last year as well. But who's he going to replace? Could I see him absolutely going nuts this spring and replacing somebody like Colby Thomas? No. Because again, in order for somebody to get on the 26-man roster or the 40-man roster, meaning you have to waive, release, DFA, 60-day IL on somebody on the 40-man roster. And with the outfielders currently the A's have, I don't see that happening. Maybe a Junior Perez, you DFA? I don't want to see that. I don't think so. I don't think there's anybody attractive enough on that list where you could DFA. The A's are loaded in the outfield. Infield. Maybe. RD, I think it's a mistake to send a split squad to Las Vegas. The stars should shine in Vegas. Catcher is already a solidified probability. Yeah, I agree with you, Muskie. It is. Infield. The guy I'm really, really high on right now is Joshua Kuroda Grauer. I believe has the best opportunity to earn any type of spot to earn a spot on the opening day roster. Joshua Kuroda Grauer would be your super utility guy. He started the year off last year in High A Lansing, tore it up, got hurt, came back, had a slow start when he came back, tore it up after he got going, got promoted to Double A and killed it in Double A. He played in the Arizona Fall League and killed it. The problem with JKG, no power. But Joshua Kuroda Grauer can play every single position. Shortstop, third base, second place, and he plays it well. Can I see Joshua Kuroda Grauer potentially beating out a Daryl Hernandez? Maybe. I don't think it's likely. But if there's somebody on the infield that is most likely to do it, I think it is JKG. Now you're probably saying, how about Leo DeVries? Leo DeVries, 18 years old, 19 years old. Me being conservative the way I am, I want to see Leo DeVries have success in Vegas before he gets called up. I want him to take that Nick Kurtz path where he plays 25, 30 games. Hey, you tear it up, you get the call. I don't want, for the most part, 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, if you don't play AAA, I see a hard time for you getting the call up immediately to the big show. Tommy White. I potentially can see as that guy. At the plate, I don't think there has been an individual in the A's organization that has improved at the plate since he got drafted. He used to strike out every other at bat, it seemed, when he was with Low A Stockton. He changed his stance. He got better. The strikeouts went down. And the kid has natural power. The problem with Tommy White, he doesn't have a position. He's not a third baseman. Right now, he's not. He's not a serviceable. He's not even a serviceable defensive third baseman right now. He can't field at all. Last year, in all levels, the worst fielder in all of baseball, not in the minors, in every single level possible, or one of them. If that can come around, if he can get the fielding going, you could see Tommy White as a starting third baseman. I could see Tommy White beating out Max Muncy because hitting, yeah, he's there. Defensively, he's not even close, not even serviceable. To give you an idea, when he played in the Arizona Fall League this past, October, November, they had him play first base. He didn't even play third base. That's the issue with Tommy Tanks. He doesn't have a position. How about starting pitching? Gauge jump. But again, my philosophy, I want to see success at the AAA level. I want to see Gauge jump, take the step, go the same path as a Nick Kurtz on the pitching side of things. I want to see success first. And that's the same thing with Jamie Arnold. For as much as I like Jamie Arnold, I want him to take that same path. And if that means starting in High A Lansing, Low A Stockton, wherever it may be, I want Arnold to take that same path. And if he's successful, move up that ladder. It won't be long. Get your feet wet. I hate when youngsters are rushed. I hate when they're rushed. How about Cade Morris? Cade Morris pitched in AAA. Cade Morris pitched in big games in AAA. For sure. I'm not sure on Cade Morris. For as good as Cade Morris looked down the stretch, and he did, he's a gamer. And he was tough in AA as well. But when he first got to Vegas, he got hit, and he got hit hard. Then he settled in, and he got good. He got real good. And in the playoffs, Cade Morris showed us something. But I'm not convinced on him yet. I want to see more consistency, more success at that level. If he could take what he carried over in the playoffs last year in AAA, where he was named the AAA Aviators Pitcher of the Year, we have something. Now, when I come back in about 10 seconds, I want to go over the relief pitchers. I think truly, if there is going to be a non-roster invitee, it's going to be a relief pitcher. I'll see you in a couple seconds. All right, relief pitchers. When we're talking about relief pitchers, there's two pitchers that I think have the best chance to be a non-roster invitee. If I had to rank this entire list, it would start with these two. Matt Crook, left-handed pitcher. Excuse me, not Matt Crook. Ben Bowden. Got called up last year. It was okay. A little over a 4 ERA, was put in some tough spots. But when he was in Vegas most of the year, his ERA was in the mid-ones. Dominant. Got the call up. Had some success. Got hit a little bit. But he's a lefty. And right now, the A's don't have any lefties. If Ben Bowden continues to develop in the offseason, there might be something. 31 years old, a little bit on the high side as far as age. The other individual, and if you've seen this show before, I've talked about him on several occasions. What's up, Sean Hardesty? I think Estes is at risk of losing a lost roster spot, especially if you get a new starting pitcher, DFA, or send down to AAA. Estes is young, right? Last year was definitely a step back for Joey Estes, considering he was named the number 5 starter on the 26-man roster. Timmy, how are you, sir? Luis Severino's more trouble than he is worth. Maybe. College pitchers sometimes get promoted straight from AA, but Yasevich made all the steps last season before hitting the main team. I get that. And I'm not saying this is a rule of thumb or this is what everybody should do. This is my preference. That's what I believe individuals should do. I want to see individuals go through the steps. And if you can, hey, listen, if you can just get drafted and get sent to AAA immediately, I'm okay with that. And you dominate, good. Zane Taylor pitched last year 2 innings, 5th-round pick out of UNC Wilmington, and absolutely dealt. I was kind of disappointed he wasn't a non-roster invitee. The next individual is Gustavo Rodriguez. Gustavo Rodriguez started last year in High A Lansing. He moved up to AA Midland. Then he got promoted to AAA Vegas. And he was dominant on all 3 levels. Gustavo Rodriguez killed it. And the only reason he's not number 1 on my list is because Ben Bowden crushed it last year in Vegas as well, has already been up to the majors, and is a lefty. And for a A's team that they're only lefties right now that we have in the bullpen is an injury-prone Brady Basso and Hogan Harris. Yeah, as far as the next individual, the next lefty on the list or in line, is Ben Bowden. That's why he's my number one most likely individual to get called up. Gustavo Rodriguez is 2. Matt Crook, who's another left-hander, is number 3. Because right now, the A's bullpen is a mystery. We don't know who our closer is. Do we have a closer? They addressed one spot in the offseason for the bullpen, and that was Mark Leiter Jr. for Osvaldo Bido, which was a no-brainer. And I've said it on many of occasions, like, the bullpen confused me last year. First 30 games of the year, 35, the bullpen was dominant. Everyone forgets that. The bullpen was dominant first 30 games of the year. Then all of a sudden, shoot, me and Timmy freaking would have hit back-to-back bombs off that bullpen. I mean, they were giving up hits to everybody. They couldn't get anybody out. Nobody. And then all of a sudden, man, after the Mason Miller trade, it was one of the best bullpens in baseball. Like, and no real reasoning for it, because it's not like anybody that was dominating has had a sustainable amount of success in the past where you're like, oh yeah, I saw that coming. Like, every guy that came out of the bullpen dominated, and you're like, where'd that come from? But at the same time, it's like, you're sitting here, well, who do you replace? Tyler Ferguson? No. Hogan Harris? No. Michael Kelly? No. So who do you replace? But I think if you were to take 8 bullpen arms that they have, not all of them is sustainable for the success they had last year. I don't think so. And right now, with Ben Bowden being the only real lefty out there and Gustavo Rodriguez, those are the best chances I see as far as making the opening day roster. The other guy, keep an eye on him, man. Joshua Kuroda Grauer. I like him a lot. I think he if he develops any type of power, he's just as good as anybody else we have trying to play that super utility role. Just as good as a Max Schumann, just as good as a Darrell Hernandez. I think that's going to be a competition. Again, in order for somebody to come off the 60-man, in order for somebody to be a non-roster invitee and get on the opening day roster, they're going to have to tear it up. I'm talking hitting into the high 3s, somewhere 400, OPS over 1,000. It's very, very, very difficult for that to happen if nobody else is getting hurt. Again, in order to go from the non-invitee list to the opening day roster or the 40-man roster, you can't just flip-flop positions with an individual. Hey, he's on the 40-man roster. Let's send him down and replace him with this guy. No. A roster spot has to open up. And how a roster spot opens up? Outright release, DFA, 60-day IL. You can't just say, hey, Colby, you're going to Vegas and we're replacing you with Henry Bolte. Now, obviously, you could still send Colby down to Vegas and replace him with somebody else on the 40-man roster, but a non-invitee, that's different. In other words, you can do a Junior Perez who's on the current 40-man roster for a Colby Thomas, for example. You could put Junior Perez on the 26-man opening day roster and send Colby Thomas down to Vegas. You can do that. But in order for Henry Bolte, who's a non-invitee, to get on the 40-man, you'd have to DFA a Junior Perez, release a Junior Perez, or like put him on the 60-day IL. So it's not that simple. It's very, very difficult to make it. One guy last year, Max Muncy. And that was because Brady Basso was put on the 60-day IL. That opened up a spot. Now, during the season, individuals not on the 40-man roster, that happens all the time. Nick Kurtz, for example, was a non-roster invitee last year to spring training. He wasn't on the 40-man roster. There was a lot of guys not on the 40-man roster last year. Here was your non-invitees last year. To give you an idea how many guys get called up. Jason Alexander. Remember Jason Alexander? He came up a couple times. We ended up releasing him. He went to the Astros and absolutely pitched a gem against the A's in Sacramento. I don't want to talk about that game. Jason Alexander was a non-roster invitee. Mason Barnett was a non-roster invitee who we got in the Lucas Ursay trade. Tanner Dodson, Jack Perkins, Pedro Santos, Chen Zong Ao Zhuang, Ben Bowden, Matt Crook, C.D. Pelham, Domingo Robles, non-roster invitees. Domingo's a non-roster invitee again this year, so it was Bowden and Crook, Logan Davidson, Nick Kurtz, Alejo Lopez, Max Muncy, Drew Avens, Henry Bolte, Carlos Cortez, Colby Thomas, Willie McIver, and Daniel Susak. So about 20 guys last year. And out of those 20 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys ended up being on the big team by the end of the season. So a lot of things can happen. But listen, man, spring training, that's why spring training is intense. You got to look at spring training through the correct lens. And while spring training is just a tune-up for a lot of the stars you see, a lot of guys, man, it's their final chance. It's their final chance to make it in baseball in their career. It's a lot of the youngsters, their first look at it. So guys that aren't on that 40-man roster are not guaranteed a spot. It's intense. It is damn intense. Families on the edge of their seat every single pitch. It's intense, man. Late games matter. When you think the game means nothing in the 7th inning and a blowout in spring training, it means something. Look at spring training this year, guys, through the correct lens. Look at it through the correct lens because it is damn important. You can't look at it through the lens of the superstars just trying to tune up. You got to look at it through the lens of the guys who are trying to survive, that are trying to make a career, that are trying to get over the speed bump. Guys like Ben Bowden, 30, 31 years old, probably his last chance. Matt Crook, MLB individuals, veterans like a Nick Hernandez and Nick Anderson, journeymen who've had their shot who have had their shot in playing in Major League Baseball, but it hasn't gone so well. You got to look at it through the right lens. Who do I want to see better as far as who? What do you mean, be formless? Who do I want to see do better as far as who? Perkins should be the closer. I agree with you there, Journey. I do think Perkins should get that nod. I think he's going to be the odds-on favorite to be the closer out of spring, going into spring training. And the reason I say that is because when Mason Miller was getting traded, it was Jack Perkins was the guy closing games. So I do agree with you there, but I do think it's going to be an open competition. I think that bullpen is going to be an open competition for a lot of guys. there's 8 spots for the bullpen. I wouldn't really guarantee one spot or another to any particular person. I mean, that bullpen's, who knows? Who knows? I could easily see anybody from that non-roster invitee, so forth. Oh, out of the invitees, who do I want to see crush it? I'm rooting for everybody. And that's kind of your cliche type of answer. I get it. But at the same time, these are individuals' careers. So I'm not rooting strongly for one guy or against another guy. I really am not. In this scenario, when you got kids, 22-year-old, 23-year-olds competing their ass off to try to make the roster, and veterans 30, 33, 34, who's going for that one last chance, I'm rooting for them all, man. And I don't mean to be general with that answer, but it's truly how I feel. I'm not rooting against any of them, man. I hope the best for every single one of them. This is what sports is about. The journey is what it's about. And I hope they do the best possible job they can, man. I get stressed out thinking about it, to give you an idea, man, because for me, this is what sports is about. Spring training. Look at spring training through the correct lens. I hope they compete, and I know they will. And the decisions coaches have to make is going to be brutal. But this is why there's the potential salary they're making as well. So it comes with the territory. But I'm rooting for all of them, man. There's not one person I'm rooting for or against. I'm rooting for them all. I'm rooting for them all, and I hope they compete. Take care, guys. I will check you out tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a fun episode, man. Hey, be sure you are back here tomorrow. What's up, Dave? This is Gives and Takes. I couldn't imagine the pressure. Right. One's on like Nick Anderson, Nick Crandis. I mean, shoot, Nick Anderson is, 35 years old. He's been to the show. Jeff Hartley, 32 years old. Wander Suero, 34 years old. Had his shot last year. He crushed it at AAA last year. He got brought up. He got shelled. It's a tough business. Tough business. Rather be podcasting. But tomorrow, hey, cool episode tomorrow. We're going to stay on the prospects theme. And I got 2 dudes that are coming on the show tomorrow. Very, very, very cool dudes. They do prospect rankings. And they've come up with their own algorithm and own formula to figure it out. That's against like, hey, your Baseball America, etc. And they're going to talk about guys like Leo DeVries and Henry Bolte and Junior Perez, Joshua Kuroda Grauer, through their analysis. Totally cool conversation. And that is premiering tomorrow, 9 a.m., man. Hey, it's a really, really cool show. It gives you a different perspective to analytics and what they think of it, man. And they give reasoning behind it. 2 intelligent individuals. I can't wait for that show to air tomorrow. You take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On A's. We will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. live on YouTube on audio. The show should be up at around 10 a.m. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On A's so you get all the latest episodes. You can find Locked On A's on social media on X, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Locked On A's. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On A's ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedona's.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel on audio. Make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB.